Hello.
Meow.
We're probably just gonna do a short chapter, or not short chapter. We're probably just gonna do a short session today.
Yeah, I have been procrastinating. I haven't been writing very much. I need to write. I'm always at work now. I spend all my free time writing. I'm just always working. Hell.
Well,
My heart so bad.
I'm very excited because I spent all day working on this new screen layout.
You really did, you guys. How many hours?
Too long?
4?
3 or 4, yeah.
I think about 4.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
You picked me up and then we came back. And when did you start working on this? What time was it? Had the sun set yet?
No. Anyway, I'm very proud of what I've got here.
It's 10 o'clock. Did you just finish?
I kind of finished most of it.
Oh, well, you helped make
before
dinner.
Yeah, I finished most of it before dinner, and then I spent the rest of the evening tweaking.
Tweaking. I don't think that word, I don't think it means what you think it means. What is tweaking? To become or cause to become agitated or excited. Typically from taking amphetamines or another.
Okay, not that kind of tweaking.
That's why I said that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
No, it does mean what I think it means. It just also has an extra meaning.
I know, but I can't unhear it now. I mean, you were extremely excited, so you were tweaking in a different way.
Alright, great. Anyway, want to get started?
Let me see that.
You want to see the new... Okay, yeah, well, here's the intro screen. Look at the nice intro screen. No?
I like it. It's great, but it looks really sad, and I'm wondering, when's this title screen gonna change to the show? When are we gonna see sad teenagers walking around in the rain, dragging their broken limbs, tired, and yet so full of angst and trauma?
I just like rain.
I did. You know, that was on the item. Kind of person who likes
Alright, well, I will transition to the next screen, and then I will start reading to you. Sound good?
Oh, it's very pretty. I keep looking at
Thank
it.
you.
I can't stop looking at it. When's the title screen changing?
There you go.
I'm gonna make weird noises.
Alright. Let's start reading?
Okay, is it, wait, we're over the interludes, right?
Yeah, we are properly into the new work. We are in Pray 14.2.
Pray for mercy!
Amy Dallin.
Who's Amy Dallin?
Panacea.
Right.
Amy Dallin ran for her
I'm
life.
bad with names.
It wasn't the kind of run.
Look, I'm the kind of bitch who, like, even if I know my patients by name, or even if I know my patients by face, like, even if I've seen them before, I'm never really sure, because every once in a while I run into people who look very similar or act extremely similar. I met somebody today who I had to, like, check the chart for a second because I was just like, not their real name, but I was just like, wait, Ryan? No, Tom, you're not Ryan. Okay. Hey, how's it going? Nice to meet you. Like, look, I'm bad with names normally. Like, I'll go into the room and I always, the first thing I reach, I'm really glad that the door I can come in is not where the patients are facing, because then they can't see me, like, grab the chart from the back and double check that I'm in the right room, because I can't remember anyone's name to save my life.
Well, I'm probably worse at this than you are, but I'm lucky that I don't have to remember names.
What have I gotten myself into? I have a job where I have to remember people's names and I have to make small talk. I'm extremely bad at both of these things. I usually like having the extroverts in the room because then they do all the talking for me and I don't have to like pretend I have human social skills. I don't know why all of you are here. I don't know why any of you are listening to me talk. I'm nuts.
Yeah, I like that you're nuts. I'm sure a lot of people can agree.
Fools, all of you.
Amy Dallin ran for her life.
Go, go, go! Burn those carbs!
It wasn't the kind of run one saw in marathons or anything like that.
But what did I just say?
It was mindless, panicked, like a herd animal in a stampede.
I suddenly thought of that video that I watched where some herd animals have like horizontal pupils, and for some reason I pictured her with horizontal pupils just now. It's actually a thing.
I
It's pretty
mean,
cool.
a lot of like badly drawn anime girls look like that. You know, just prey eyes.
Oh yeah, as our friend says, prey eyes very far apart on the sides of their head so they can see the incoming perverts. I mean predators.
Yep.
Same thing.
She took the easiest and most obvious paths available to her, stumbling as often as not, her sole and all-consuming purpose being to put distance between herself and her pursuer.
Who's chasing the Ames?
Her left hand was cradled against her chest,
Uh-oh.
the very ends of her pinky, ring, and middle fingers missing.
Oh! Wait, pinky?
Ring?
The ends.
Yeah.
Just the ends.
Yep.
And
In the middle fingers.
no, but the middle finger's so important. How are you gonna flip people off?
Was that intentional? Harming the healing hands?
Oh, her hands are doing the healing. So she has to like boop you with her hands. So elbow won't work.
Well, I think she can. She can manipulate biology with other, like, any skin contact, period.
Can she grow her hands back?
She cannot heal herself, remember?
She can't heal herself.
She can't heal herself, but she was able to manipulate Taylor's bugs, just by having them crawl on her.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh man, though that blows. That's right.
Just
I
a
forgot. That
little.
just fucking blows. No, I feel that. I can't do my own dentistry. Although I don't know if I would want to do my own dentistry. I'd be too freaked out.
Siberian didn't even have to run to keep up.
Oh, you're dead, girl. You're dead.
The chase was something she'd honed into an art. Amy had to run around buildings, hurdle over piles of debris, and climb fences.
Oh man.
Siberian anticipated her movements, pushed through walls of stone, brick, wood, and plaster, as though they were tissue paper, and ultimately took the shortest, most direct path. If Amy happened to get a little too far away, Siberian would use a short hop to cross half a city block, often crashing through a wall.
So she's just toying with her and like, for funsies.
Through a wall or the side of a truck in the process.
Oh, well.
She could have closed the gap and gotten her hands on Amy at any moment, but she didn't. She was a cat with its prey, and Amy didn't have anything that could help her get away. Amy ran and created some distance, getting just far enough that she might think she'd escaped.
So what's Siberian doing here? Is she like testing Amy?
Yeah, she's testing Amy. Siberian's test is always just survive.
Lame. That's really lame.
Then Siberian would appear in front of her, or to one side. It happened once,
How long are you supposed to survive?
twice, then 3 times. I actually
Is there
don't
a
know.
time limit?
I didn't hear about the details of this.
Right.
But supposedly the time limit would be whatever Jack Slash mentioned in the rules.
I still feel like it's lame. I feel like this is kind of a lame test. Is that fair?
Yeah, it's uncreative, right?
It's really not creative.
Yeah,
Well, I guess we got Bonesaw for that.
that's true. Bonesaw can provide all the creativity.
You're gonna take the ketchup away, okay? It's been here all day. Hey, don't put it down.
Each time, Siberian drew closer. The 4th time she closed the distance, she leaped up to a spot behind Amy and caught hold of Amy's wrist. Amy jerked as the hold interrupted her forward momentum. She screamed, her legs buckling under her. Siberian took her time, grabbing at Amy's other wrist, then prying at her fingers.
Ah! Listen, I have a wrist injury recently, so I have a little bit of a sympathy.
3 were already missing segments, and Siberian seized the index finger.
Can I just interrupt for a brief second? You do realize that digit mutilation is a tried and true, extremely well-known torture technique used around the world.
Yes. Slowly, inexorably, inexorably, she guided the finger to her mouth, her lips parting.
Ew!
Amy thrashed, but couldn't free herself from
Ew,
Siberian's grip.
She's just like biting off her fingers bit by bit.
Yep. Now is it creative enough?
Still no.
Okay.
I did this kind of shit with my gummy bears when I was 2. Oh, not 2. How was I? When did I start having gummy bears? 2nd grade, something like that.
Shouldn't we do something? Sundancer asked. Her hand trembled as she lowered the binoculars.
Yeah, shouldn't you guys do something?
I wasn't sure how useful Sundancer was going to be, on several levels. Our group consisted of Trickster, Gru, Tattletale, Sundancer, and myself, with 2 of Bitch's dogs to get us from A to B. The 7 of us were gathered behind the wall of a ruined building, a considerable distance from Siberian. I glanced at Gru. He was tense, rigid enough that I could see his stillness through the darkness. Anything I'd say to him would hurt more than it helped.
Wait, what? Wait, what? I feel like this came out of nowhere.
It kind of did, honestly, but she's looking at Gru and she doesn't think she can say anything to him.
Taylor, where the fuck did this come from? Like, I'm just like listening to you talk like, oh, okay, they're taking their positions, they're watching. And Taylor's just like, I can't talk to Gru. I are sad. Girl!
I turned my attention back to Amy and Siberian, looking through the binoculars.
Man, you must have a lot going on internally, Tay-Tay, to be able to look away from this. Because this is like a fucking train wreck. I would just be, I don't know, I'd be like looking and then puking alternately.
Yeah, basically. Instead of addressing Gru, I told Sundancer, nothing we can do, but I think Siberian is going to... As if she'd heard, Siberian closed her mouth. Amy recoiled with her whole body, pulling away, and Siberian let her go, giving her a little push. As her quarry stumbled and started to run, Siberian simply stood there, waiting. She wanted to give Amy a head start.
Yeah, no, Sundancer's got it. Shouldn't you guys do something?
Well, what can they do?
I mean, they know something. They're trying to look for Siberian's like real body, right?
Right.
So they know Siberian's got a real body,
Mm-hmm.
and they know. Shouldn't they be looking for Siberian's real body and trying to like just destroy it instead of like watching this?
Who says they aren't trying to find the real body right now?
Okay, fair. Look, it's just this little weird. It's all just.
Amy wasn't bleeding as much as she should have been. I knew she couldn't use her power to affect herself, or this fight would be playing out much differently. But maybe she was using her power to affect microbes on her hands? Changing them into something that could breed, coagulate, and staunch the wounds?
Straining in microbiome. I can't remember this.
It was what I'd be doing.
I don't think that's a thing.
But I'd also be trying to use microbes to form some kind of defense. I'd be reaching out for algae or other plant life I could use to obscure my retreat. Something to produce an opaque gas, to block line of sight or give me hiding places.
I don't know if any of this is all pretty flimsy. I don't know if any of this is going to work in Siberian, to be honest with you.
Amy had far more versatility than I did, and I had little doubt she'd be able to mimic my power with a little time for preparation. With some forethought, preparation, and strategic thinking, she was capable of holding her own, getting away. She had so much potential.
Which is why the Slaughterhouse 9 are after her.
But Amy Dallin wasn't that sort of person. She hadn't gravitated toward frontline combat, nor had she gotten in real fights, to the best of my knowledge.
Well, she's a healer.
When Leviathan had hit the city, she'd stayed behind to give medical care, instead of using her power against him.
Well, what would she do against him? Would she be... Oh, that's right, she could blow him up, huh?
Well,
she? Like,
possibly.
Because didn't she talk about, like, I don't know, making Taylor, like, my 6,000-pound life?
Oh yeah, she did say that.
Yeah, I'm paraphrasing. I don't know if you guys have heard of My 600-Pound Life. It's kind of a sad show on TLC, but, I'm just saying. Didn't she threaten to turn Taylor into a 6,000-pound version of that?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When Leviathan had hit the city, she'd stayed behind to give medical care instead of using her power against him. Now she was panicking, up against an unstoppable enemy and an inevitable fate. and she didn't have the tools, mental or otherwise, to hold her own. Siberian would catch her and release her over and over, taking her apart piece by piece. Eventually, the blood loss would mean Amy couldn't run anymore. Or maybe Siberian was waiting for Amy to break mentally. How long could she put up with this before she lost all hope and surrendered herself to a fate of being eaten alive?
This is so gross.
Using my power, I began to gather a swarm around Amy. Her initial reaction was to freak out. She thrashed, stumbled, and fell. She landed in the shallow water with her good hand thrust out to prevent herself from landing face first. Her second reaction, beyond the knee-jerk fear, was to use her power to start shutting mine down. Idiot! I hissed the word. What? Tattletale asked. I'm trying to save her life, and she's turning my power against me. Two ways this would go. Either she clued in that I was trying to help, or she died. I was really hoping it wouldn't be the latter.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
I didn't like her, but she didn't deserve to die. There were very few people in the world who deserved to die like this.
Wait, there are very few people. So you do have a list going, don't you? What's her name on that list? What was her name? The bully?
Emma?
Emma. Is Emma on that list? Actually, we could put Emma on that list. That's fair, yeah.
Sounds fair.
Does Emma deserve to be, like, Siberian or fridged?
You choose.
Both.
Okay.
That's good.
I could feel a not unfamiliar headache building as I leveraged my power to draw more of a swarm around her. Siberian was watching, uncaring. As was so often the case, my timing had to be specific. She wouldn't let Amy go as a matter of principle, but she'd let hope dangle in front of both of us. That penchant for offering hope and then dashing it was a weapon she and virtually every other member of the Nine had at their disposal, but it was also a tendency we could exploit. A weakness, if you could call it that. This would have been easier if we'd had another mannequin like we used in our first victory against the Nine, using Trickster's power to evacuate Amy. But we hadn't been near my lair, and we'd used every mannequin we had in that fight. We could have clutched something together, something vaguely Amy-sized and Amy-shaped, but time had been tight, and we hadn't found anything that would also fit on the dogs. Deploying on the one job with the explosives, mannequins, and 2 or 3 people riding each dog had been our limit before. Siberian took hold of a length of her long hair and combed her fingers slowly through it, her back twisting and arching a little.
You know, it's really just, finding out that, yeah, this is not her real body and she's some middle-aged dude hiding in, like, a hole in the middle of the city. Probably hasn't showered in weeks. I don't know, it's really funny. This is like Angelic Layer, waifu edition, smelly otaku man controlling, you know?
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to not think of this as, like, VTubing, you know?
It's pretty bad.
It's like, and I'm just like, so he's a smelly middle-aged man, he's all like, oh, look. Like, somebody took their yandere assassination a little too far, man.
Arching a little as she reached behind her head, the flank of her body exposed to the diffuse light of the overcast sky above.
Is Siberian naked?
Yeah. She'd been naked
right?
the whole time.
I'm sorry, it just hit me like, okay, this is really gross. Dot. Wait a minute, she's naked. She's always been naked. And she has two-tone hair. Baby's first and most powerful OC, you fucking edgelord. Get out of that sewer. Get out of that hole in the ground and take a fucking shower, you monster. Ugh! Of course someone like this would hang out with Jack Flash. You know what? I bet those thigh-high Crocs belong to him.
Hi,
and he's the one who gave them to Jack Flash. This is disgusting. I hate it. Confound it all. I hate it so.
Crispy's here. He says,
Hello, Crispy.
VTubing, that's my favorite.
Just, Wildbow, kudos. You predicted the future. Soon, there's a lot of people who are VTubing right now. There's a lot of smelly, I like to call them the unwashed masses. I mean, it still sounds patronizing. I am still kind of a member of the smelly otaku community. I should say am a member of the otaku community, but was a member of the smelly thing because, I don't know, thanks to, like, my job in Omicron, I shower like pretty much every day. But yeah, it's just I'm sorry. What am I picturing? The old son, the old man who is like virtually piloting Siberian as. I just like some Reddit neckbeard, like the actually guy with like 3 chins and Cheeto stained fingers. Like it's really hard for me to just not think of this as just waifu. Waifu. Zebra cannibal waifu. Zebra haired cannibal
Oh, right.
waifu.
So not only is he a VTuber, he's a furry.
The biggest monster in the Slaughterhouse 9 is this guy. This guy's the biggest monster. He's a fucking pervert. You know what? I bet there's like a feet thing going in there too, because why the fuck not? We watched Mother's Basement talking about the anime of the season, and there's just too much feet. You know, I never really thought, being an asexual person, I never really thought too much about it. I was just like, okay, so I guess maybe feet are aesthetic. I mean, I prefer hands myself. I think hands are prettier, but okay, I guess. And then I find out feet fetish is a thing. You know what? I bet you could go down a list of like pervert tropes, and this guy like meets all of them. How tall is Siberian again? Is she like 6 feet tall or something?
I don't
7
remember,
feet?
but they described her as being pretty tall.
Right,
I think 6 feet, probably not 7.
something like that. She's a massive woman. Does she have like an hourglass figure or something? Look, she's just so drawable as a waifu. Okay? Like, this is like some Gynax shit. You know?
Oh man.
Darling in the Franxx shit.
Crispy, these quotes are the best. Crispy says, well, in quotations, hello, just playing a game of manhunt. Haha, not hunting a man this time. Lol. But you know. Peace.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like and subscribe to pick the next finger I eat.
Ooh.
Ooh. Oh boy.
I'm ruining this for myself and for everybody.
If Cherish wasn't fucking with us, the real Siberian was a middle-aged man. What, then, was the projection? Why was it female, when Brian's had been male, and so very similar to him?
Taylor, you don't want the answers to any of these questions? You don't want to know. Oh, we just watched Atlantis, okay? The old guy, he's the mole from Atlantis. The mole guy, burying himself in the dirt. Whoa. Burying himself in the dirt. And like Taylor being like, I wonder what's his deal. And I'm just gonna answer the way that Joshua Sweet does. Just like, listen, don't tell him. Like, Sundancer, tattletale, don't tell her. Like, he told me, and now I'm telling you. You don't want to know. Isn't that the quote? Yeah. Don't tell her, because like, I'm telling you right now, Milo. I mean, Taylor, you don't want to know. She told me, and I'm telling you, you don't want to know. You don't want to know. You really don't want to know. Mannequins was great. This guy, Bo, I know you love expansion on stuff. Please don't tell us. I really don't want to know.
I'm gonna keep going.
I didn't want to know. Anyway, go on.
I would have asked Gru something to try to shed light on the subject.
Tattletale's next to you, just making this like disgusted face, like, ugh.
But I didn't want to get him thinking about what had happened back then.
What? Back then? What? Earlier today?
It was yesterday. At this point.
Whatever. Tay, you got bigger zebra fish to fry. Like, Tay, this is not the time to be distracted by your teenage hormones. You know what? I'm gonna say it. Being asexual, that really is kind of a superpower. You don't concentrate on the stupid shit.
My head was starting to pound, my power getting more sluggish. Where possible, I used my bugs to find, catch, and kill the bugs Amy had altered with her power. It wasn't enough. My power was still getting steadily weaker. Amy fell again, climbed to her feet, and swatted her good hand through the swarm, disabling those bugs who stayed on her skin for any longer than a second. It was also making it harder to sweep the area for Siberian's real body. There were pockets of people here and there. I needed to keep tabs on the ones who fit Cherish's description. Middle-aged, male, probably unkempt, thin.
Oh, I'm sorry. I pictured him as like you know,
Yeah.
I kind of pictured him.
I know
as,
what you
like,
pictured him as.
sedentary. I pictured him as quite sedentary. You know, somehow making him skinny makes him creepier.
What made it trickier was that I had to find him without him catching on and sending Siberian
So he's
after
just
us.
standing there in the crowd?
Well, we don't know where he is.
I seriously pictured him as being in a hole in the ground. No, really. So they said something about like the crater Leviathan left behind. They said something about that, right?
I don't remember that.
Okay, well, I still pictured him as the mole man, as doing what the mole man does, and just like, just lodging himself deep in the dirt, Shigaraki style. You know?
Fun.
Yeah, like I picture him as hiding under a manhole somewhere. Go on.
Okay. What made it trickier was that I had to find him without him catching on and sending Siberian after us. There was one man nearby, but he was fit. Another there, fat, startling, and trembling at the distant sounds of Siberian tearing through the landscape in her pursuit of Amy. I found another, but he was clutching a small child to him, and she clutched him back. Father and daughter, no doubt. The little girl wasn't bonesaw either. Too small. In the next cluster of people, I had to stop and press my fingers to my temples. It hurt. Damn that girl. I had to cover her, though, so having my bugs near her was unavoidable. Amy needed to be 100% out of Siberian's sight before we acted. As if she was actively seeking to make things harder on us, she took a route that carried her out of sight of our binoculars, behind a building. Not that she knew we were there, it was bad luck. I focused my binoculars on Siberian instead. Her hair drifted in the wind. The length she wasn't holding in her hand fanned out, briefly.
Wait, Siberian's holding her own hair? He's combing her own hair.
Yep.
Part of your world! Oh my god. Oh my god. Have any of you guys seen that music video for Slaughter Your World from, what was it, Looking for Group? There was a music video where they're singing Slaughter Your World instead of Part of Your World from The Little Mermaid, and I'm just picturing like Siberian doing that whole thing.
Very fitting, yes.
Oh my god, it's perfect. And it's even a middle-aged old man singing the song.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just picturing it.
If the wind moves her hair like that, is that a clue? I asked, looking at Tattletale. Like the dust on Glory Girl's clothes, hinting that she wasn't covered by her force field. 95% sure I'm right on this score, but her power probably copies her real body's physiology to some degree, molding all the internal organs and whatever else with whatever reality-scrambling stuff she's made of. Her call about what parts of her are affected by what, so I don't... She stopped. Heads up! Siberian was letting her hair fall from her hands. She flicked the last strand back over her shoulder. I collected the swarm into a dozen decoys in the same instant Siberian started striding forward, then scattered them. Siberian stopped, pivoting on the spot, then lunged for one side of the street. She threw herself through the side of a parked pickup truck, shearing through the fiberglass and metal, and landed in a crouch on the far side of it. She gripped the two sections of the vehicle, tearing where they were still connected on the underside, and then spun in place, holding each half out to one side. I couldn't be sure, but as I looked through the binoculars, I was pretty sure that I caught a glimpse of her holding one half of the truck by a glass pane of a side window.
No, not Truck-kun!
Goodbye, Truck-kun.
No! Oh, now no one's gonna get isekai'd. Now they're just dead.
Crispy says, oof, that is a blast from the past. I think in response to Slaughter Your World.
Hey, fellow old person.
The index and middle finger on either side of the broken glass. In most cases, a cape trying to pick up a car by anything but the undercarriage would find it falling apart, the weight of the vehicle pulling it free of whatever section the cape was holding. Siberian didn't have that problem. She simply extended her power through whatever she was holding to keep it intact. With a throwing motion, she whipped one section of the truck over her head, hurling it forward so it crashed through no less than 5 of my decoy swarms. She did a tight spin as she stepped forward and made the second throw into a smooth continuation of the first. Her accuracy wasn't quite so good for the second hit. It crashed through the water and hit the ground before it rolled out of my line of sight. It was only through my swarm that I felt it hit Amy and my decoy swarms. Most of the momentum was lost in the initial impact, and it didn't pulverize her. She was in one piece, at least. In retrospect, that might have been intentional on Siberian's part.
So she threw a truck at you guys.
At Amy and all of the decoys. She's advancing, Tattletale reported. Yeah, I replied absently. I was focusing on getting my bugs on sight. The bugs that had surrounded Amy and formed the decoys in her immediate vicinity were still there, and I gathered them into humanoid shapes again. I didn't have line of sight to her, but I could feel them rising in what must have looked like a very human way. I'd known that using the decoys would provoke Siberian. She wanted to drive home that inevitability of her target's fate, and that meant she would stop playing around the second she thought Amy might really escape. That was the bad. The good side of things caught me by surprise. As though a switch was flicked, my power suddenly surged back to its normal strength. Amy was killing the bugs she'd fucked up, so they weren't scrambling my power anymore. She'd realized I was trying to help.
Oh!
Should I attack? Sundancer asked. No, Brew almost barked the word. You'll give away our location.
Almost. You barked it. Woof woof.
Let me, Trickster said. While Trickster unclipped grenades from the belt of his costume, I focused on Amy. She was standing, slowly, masked by a swarm. If I sent a decoy running in one direction, I was almost positive it would get Amy killed. She couldn't run faster than Siberian, and however much I scattered the decoys, Siberian could dispatch them all and get her hands on the real Amy in a matter of seconds. If I moved the decoy too fast, it would be a dead giveaway as a fake. Really need a distraction, I said. Are you still looking for the real Siberian? Tattletale asked.
Well, the real Siberian, please stand up. We're old. I'm old, so I'm gonna make all these old people jokes.
Of course I am, I snapped. I might have gone on to point out how we were also here to save her. To save Amy Dallin. I kept my mouth shut. Pointless to waste my breath.
Wait. So if you save Amy, doesn't that make you kind of responsible for the things that happen in Ward to a degree?
You don't know what happens in Ward.
Bullshit. I've been looking at that picture on your phone for the last 2-3 years. May I remind you that the picture on my husband's phone is not of me, but of Victoria.
All right.
So of course I have a husband on my phone too. That's not my husband.
Pointless to waste my breath, or dedicate any focus to arguing when I could be trying to deal with Siberian. Trickster was looking through his binoculars, holding one grenade. I saw him pull the pin a second before the grenade in his hand was replaced by a fragment of building. An explosion erupted a matter of feet from Siberian. The smoke cleared quickly enough, and I saw her turning her head, looking for the unseen attacker. I ducked my head low to get more cover from the ruined wall we all lurked behind. Brew? I asked. He hesitated. Please. Right. His darkness began to flow from his hands. I climbed up onto Sirius' back, and Gru was a step behind, taking a seat in front of me.
You should grab onto his waist. You're gonna be really self-conscious. You're not gonna do it. No, Taylor. I know Taylor. She'd rather fall off than like do something that embarrassing. She'd rather fall off and get trampled than do something that embarrassing.
My bugs were still searching for the real Siberian. Did I skip a line? I might have. Any luck? Tattletale asked. She'd seated herself on Bentley, her hands on the chain around his neck, and both Trickster and Sundancer were behind her. My bugs were still searching for the real Siberian, or her creator, depending on how one wanted to look at it. I was reaching the edges of my range, and I hadn't found anyone suitable. I did find 2 adult men that were together. Could she have made a friend in her real identity?
No. Sorry.
Just to be safe, I set my bugs on the pair of them. I didn't use anything deadly, but I had bugs biting and stinging without flexing their abdomens to inject the accompanying venom. Siberian didn't react to my assault of the men. I put each of them down as a maybe, planting bugs in the folds of their clothes to mark them. Can't find her maker, I said. My power's not detecting him either, Rue replied, but my coverage is bad. Give me a second and I'll let you know the second my darkness connects with him. Siberian had noticed the darkness, and I could see her contemplating coming after us, striking at the source of the darkness. Instead, she turned and began making her way toward Amy. The darkness continued to flow, low to the ground, tendrils rising to bind together and fill in gaps, and my view of Siberian was soon blocked. There was another explosion as Trickster deployed another grenade, but it wouldn't serve as anything but a split-second distraction. I could feel Siberian. Through my bugs, I could tell the darkness hadn't reached around that corner to where Amy, my newly reformed decoys, and the two sections of the truck were. It was as good a time as any. We needed to delay, so I wrote the words, "Run in 3," in front of Amy, along with an arrow. The 3 transformed into a 2, then a 1. I sent the decoys off in different directions. Siberian lunged, just as I'd expected her to, crashing through the decoy that was moving fastest. She plunged her hands into the nearby wall and ripped out a chunk of brick and mortar, flinging it. It broke apart as it left her hands, forming a scattershot spray. More than one fragment of brick hit Amy, judging from the way she stumbled. None of the hits had been too serious, at least, because she managed to keep moving. Using my swarm sense, I formed a mental map of the area. Buildings, cover, features of the terrain. What was a good option? Should I drive her to keep running or to find cover? Would Siberian be able to second-guess my suggestions? She was experienced in this sort of thing, and would be an experienced tracker. The water that layered the street was something of a blessing, I suspected. Even as it slowed Amy down, it meant there weren't tracks of mud or anything for Siberian to follow. At worst, there would be clouds of muck, stirred up by Amy's footfalls, and there was little enough sunlight that I wasn't sure how much of it Siberian would be able to see. I waited, tense, as Amy ran. I felt the darkness roll over the bugs I'd gathered on and around her, and crossed my fingers that Siberian didn't have any tricks up her sleeve. Needed a way to communicate with her. Shifting a small group of bugs onto Amy's right hand, I felt her shake them off. I tried again, and she left them there. I moved them gradually until they were gathered on the tips of her ring and pinky fingers. She moved her hand to the right, and I shifted the bugs to her middle and index fingers. Would she figure it out? She moved her hand again, and I adjusted the placement of the bugs. From the way she picked up speed, I could tell she was taking my directions. The bugs would serve as her compass. She wasn't running as fast as she might otherwise, but she seemed willing to trust that I wouldn't direct her straight into a wall. That left the problem of Siberian and whether she would come after us when she lost Amy's trail.
I feel like between Taylor and Siberian, they're both playing video games. This is like League of Legends, like Brockton Bay style.
It is a very thinky fight, isn't it?
No. I'm not saying I'm not just saying it's a thinky fight, but like Taylor directing Amy, like it's just like when you're playing a video game, you're not playing the game yourself. You're directing a character on the screen around. Yeah,
The Siberian has a master who's controlling Siberian, and the Taylor's controlling
right?
Amy.
They're both just controlling like a virtual avatar in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to tell them this story. I remember when this just brings back memories of when like I was like in 5th grade, I think, something like that. And I was playing Legend of Zelda, the original Ocarina of Time, right? The one for N64.
Mm-hmm.
I think the one that wasn't on, not the original, but like, one of the older ones. So I'm playing Ocarina of Time and like running around, and I figure out like, okay, well, you can get through Hyrule Field pretty fast by like rolling, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just like rolling along, and my Chinese grandma, comes into the room, and she says something to the effect of like, "This little kid running around all day, isn't he tired?" And I'm just kind of like picturing, well, Amy, I'm sorry, I just kind of heard my grandmother's voice in my head being like, "Running around all day, isn't she tired?" Yes, I'm sure.
I'm sure she is.
I'm just kind of, I don't know, the video gaminess of this is just really funny.
Let's go.
We're gonna play Splatoon.
Let's go, I spoke.
The things that go splatter human bodies and it's
Oh,
not
yeah.
because it's blood.
Paint the level full of blood.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome. Nothing wrong with that at all.
I'm sleepy.
Let's go, I spoke. Let's check the 12 o'clock position from Siberian to see if we can't find her creator further on. Loop around. Brew and Tattletale kicked the dogs into action. I judged that Amy and Siberian were far enough apart now. I used my bugs to direct her to a door that was ajar, leading her into a small shopping mall. I tapped hard on Gru's shoulder, and the darkness immediately around us began to fade. I asked, "You can tell where Amy is?" "I have a bit of her power. Don't trust myself to use it," he grunted.
Oh, ooh, useful. Wait, so can he heal Amy?
Oh, good question. Maybe.
I think he can. He healed Taylor.
Missing something in the interpretation and analysis part of it. Clear the darkness around her so she can find a spot to hide. He grunted a response, and the darkness folded around us a second time. I was focusing on 4 things at once: staying seated behind Gru, guiding Amy, tracking Siberian's location, and trying to find Siberian's real body. I could sense her as she made her way up the side of a building. Gru's darkness was heavier now. It sat lower on the streets. From her vantage point, Siberian couldn't see us, couldn't see Amy, but she could see the tops of taller buildings. What was she looking at? Through my swarm sense, I could feel her dropping back down to ground level. I expected a splash or shattered pavement, but there was nothing. She was snapping her invulnerability out to affect the surface she was landing on. She was heading in Amy's general direction. I reached up and pulled on Gru's right arm. He veered in that direction. Couldn't find Siberian's real body. Was it really close, like Cherish had said? I noted one man who fit the general description, but he was barricaded in his room, surrounded by cans of food. There was no reason for Siberian's real persona to situate himself here. Even so, I tested him, attacking him with bugs to see if it got a response.
Did it?
Not that I was sure that there was a link connecting his real self and her projected form. It was an assumption, and maybe a dangerous one. I wasn't sure exactly how much control Brian had managed with his own projection when he'd borrowed that fragment of Siberian's powers. No. My gut told me Siberian wouldn't operate like this if there wasn't some link. There had to be some kind of range limit on the projection, or he wouldn't have any reason to follow Siberian from city to city. The fact that he was supposedly in this area meant it might even be a fairly short range. If he was an unwilling participant, a recipient of a power with unfortunate side effects, like Labyrinth, then she'd have to direct him from one place to another with threats. It would require more interactions between herselves, and that would mean something would have been given away. Along similar lines, if she depended on him to keep her going, then she had to keep him safe from the other members of the Nine. There was infighting in the group, apparently, though I'd seen no sign of it with the team thus far. Keeping the ordinary man safe wouldn't be a problem if he shared Siberian's senses like I shared those of my bugs. She could keep an eye out for trouble, and he could slip away or hide if a member of the Nine came around. Until Cherish joined the group. I wonder how that had played out. Some sort of deal? Threats, overt or implied? Siberian was on the far side of the 2-lane road that stood beside Amy's hideout. She didn't walk straight for Amy, but walked down the street with an almost casual slowness. She had one arm out, a hand tracing the side of the building she was walking by, as if to guide her through the effects of Gru's lightless world. My swarm felt dust shower onto them in her wake. It was unexpected, and it demanded investigation. I moved them across the wall, and felt a gap. She wasn't just putting her hand on the wall, but her hand and forearm through it.
That's very...
What did that mean?
Yes, what does it mean?
My bugs felt more dust fall from above. A moth was bludgeoned by a rock that fell from above. I felt realization hit me like a bucket of cold water.
You mean like the block hitting the moth?
Yep. Her hand was punching through the exterior wall of the building, but was also tearing through the supports and load-bearing areas. She'd made her way halfway through the ground floor. By the time she finished, part of the building was going to collapse and fall. If the building tipped in the direction of the shattered area, it could easily fall on the mall where Amy was hiding.
On the what? Mall?
In the mall.
In the mall. Okay.
Yeah. My bugs formed a picture on a wall near Amy. A rectangle to represent the skyscraper Siberian intended to bring down. A squatter rectangle to represent the mall. A ladybug for Amy, and a moth to represent Siberian. I demonstrated.
Is she gonna get that message?
I demonstrated what was about to happen. Faster and easier than explaining with words. Still, I included one word for good measure.
Run.
Run. I
just hear like video game music.
Yeah. I could feel Amy making a break for it. She headed in the wrong direction at first, northwest instead of northeast, and I used a giant arrow to direct her. The building began to collapse only 10 or 15 seconds after I transmitted the message. Gru's power didn't do anything to stop the rumble from reaching us. From what my bugs could gather in the chaos that followed, the building seemed to slump, the lower levels buckling and crackling. Just when I thought it had settled, the upper portion tipped over, crashing into the small parking lot in the entrance of the mall. Amy wasn't in the impact site, and she probably wouldn't have been even if I hadn't warned her. Still, it was a demonstration of power. It was intended to scare an already terrified Amy, and it served both purposes. She was running directly away from the site of the devastation, ignoring the bugs I had on her hand. In her pell-mell run, Amy stumbled into a post meant to keep carts from being taken out of the mall, and fell hard. Right, I spoke into Gru's darkness.
That's kind of how I got that scar on my lip, running into a concrete post when I was like 7.
Yeah, at least you weren't being chased by a zebra lady.
I think I was being chased. Well, no, not really. I was just running really fast and didn't quite look at where I was going. It was, in my head, it kind of... I don't know how I didn't knock out my teeth, actually.
Huh. You ran face first?
Yeah, I ran into it face first.
Yeesh.
I don't know how I didn't knock out my teeth. Maybe they were reinforced. Maybe I am Bonesaw. Sorry. Sorry.
I think when I was little, I tripped and fell face first.
Yeah, that's why you have a chip.
Yeah, and now my tooth is chipped.
But it's cute.
Oh, thank you.
I think
Thank
it's
you,
cute. It goes with your crossbite. All of your teeth are kind of chipped in a wonky way.
Oh, thank you.
It's cute. You're cute.
Right, I spoke into Gru's darkness. He obeyed. Siberian was giving chase, entering one end of the mall at the same time Amy made her way out of the opposite side. Siberian had guessed the most likely hiding spot and then used the falling building to dash Amy's hopes of safety and get her out of hiding and running. With the way the roads funneled together into one 4-lane road, Amy would either have to take a left, take a right, or go straight. Chances were good she would take the latter, because it would put her the furthest from Siberian.
Can I just make a comment here?
Mm-hmm.
This reminds me of the Chimera Ant arc.
That is... What do you mean by that? In Hunter x Hunter, the Chimera Ant arc, you think it's going on for too long?
It's just, I thought that this was going to happen, and then this happened.
Okay, fair.
I'm sorry. I'm like, I know this is really like, this is an action-based art. I'm sorry. I'm falling asleep. I mean, I'm tired, yes, but at the same time, I'm just kind of like, there's a lot of, I think that she's going to do this. I think she's going to go left. I think she's going to go right. So I'm trying to just get the bullet point version of like, got it. So Amy got chased into the mall. The Siberian's going to try to bring down like the building and trying to get her out. Okay, I'm just trying to look for the main points,
Yeah.
But there's a lot of, what is she thinking? Are we going to do this? Are we going to do that? Think.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sorry. I'm sorry for saying that. It's just, that's kind of my honest to God thought right now. Just like, oh, let me try to predict what she's gonna do. Oh, she didn't do what I do. Okay, let me think some more. And then let me think some more. And then let me think some more. And I'm just kind of like, just fucking do it, bitch. Like, just do shit. There's too much thinking. Just spoken like a true ISFP, but I'm just like, too much thinking. Just punch.
Fair. Should I just keep reading?
Yeah, just keep reading.
Let's just get through this. All right.
I shouldn't be bored. Why am I bored? I feel bad, but...
With my directions, we looped around the mall and made a beeline for Amy. Siberian was advancing too, but while she was in the right general area, she didn't have a means of finding Amy, specifically. Instead, she had leaped from one area to another, pausing for a second or two at a time. What was she doing? I swept the area with my power, but I couldn't find anyone resembling Cherish's description of Siberian's real self.
It really goes to show that I have a completely different style of writing, like action, because I have a main character who's definitely not a thinking type; she's a feeling type.
Mm-hmm.
But like, it really shows.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, this is not how I would write a fight scene. I'm not saying that there's something wrong with it, but it's just this is not how I would write a fight scene. And also, if you were doing this for like a TV adaptation, you would cut all of the internal monologue.
Yeah, you would have to, right?
Boring.
Hmm.
Boring, and also like it just slows down the action.
Was I missing something? If Cherish had been lying outright, I was under the impression that Lisa would have caught some tell. There had to be something else to it, something I could use to identify the man behind the monster. What was she? Unstoppable.
A waifu.
Yes, a waifu.
VTuber waifu.
Unstoppable, a deceptively strong, deceptively tough juggernaut of a woman. Something caught her attention. A vibration in the road? Or had she used her power to protect the ground and sent some impact as
The guy went AFK and had to go pee.
as the dogs walked on it?
Sorry.
Either way, she started to chase us. We could have turned at a right angle to hopefully throw her off, but both Gru and I knew that if we did, and she continued straight, she'd run straight into Amy. Fast. She was fast, not as much as battery or velocity might have been on a good day, but highly mobile. The thought clicked into the blank I was looking to fill. How was her alter ego getting around? I'd assumed he was traveling on foot because that was how 90% of the city was getting by. Very few cars in the road had access to gas and the ability to traverse the broken flooded streets. But if there was a range limit to the projection, how was he keeping up with the woman who could ignore air resistance and leap across the city block in a single bound? I shouldn't have been looking for people. I should have been looking for vehicles. Had I overlooked anything like a truck or a van interior he could be hiding inside? Or was he still in a location outside of my range? Or I wasn't ignoring the possibility. Had Cherish lied or misled us? Damn it. The extra possibility threw my hopes of finding the man totally out of whack. My respect for Gru grew 100-fold as he veered straight for Amy without my asking him to. We swept past her, and I caught her around the shoulder.
Respect, huh? No, that's what I'm calling it from now on. I respect you, Roman.
I respect you too. Gru offered one hand, and we lifted her together, kicking and struggling onto my lap. I wrapped one arm around her chest to keep her securely in place. She was breathing hard, almost hyperventilating. It took her a few seconds to realize we weren't Siberian. She might have calmed down at that realization, but she didn't get a chance. Siberian closed the gap in a single bound, crashing into Bentley, Lisa, Trickster, and Sundancer, and shoving them forward into the rest of us. We sprawled, and I felt my leg bend painfully as Sirius rolled over it.
Ow.
Gru banished his darkness. I could see the 6 of us and the 2 dogs lying on the road. Nobody dead.
Okay, that's good.
And there was Siberian. Faintly glowing eyes, black and white striped skin, straight hair in similar variations of black and white trailing to her tailbone. Thank you, Gru, Tattletale said. Had she asked him to cancel out his power? It wasn't like he was borrowing any power that would work on Siberian, and as for the concealment effect, they wouldn't do much. And, as it turned out, she wanted to talk. She pulled herself up to a standing position and raised one hand, palm facing Siberian. Hold on. Siberian stopped. I think you should know, Tattletale smiled. We're here for 3 reasons.
Tattletale!
Siberian's eyes narrowed. Reason number 1, we're trying to save that girl. I mean, if I'm being perfectly honest, I don't know if I would have risked it, but we do have some more compassionate people on our team. She glanced at me. For better.
Aww. Aww.
I could see Siberian flex her fingers. Her nails were long, and they were sharp. There wasn't anything special about them, on an aesthetic level, but they did have the benefit of her power. If she raked those across the surface, they would leave gouges. Didn't matter how hard or dense the material was. Reason number 2, we're aiming to kill you. See, we know about your other self. There wasn't the slightest reaction from Siberian. And the third reason, I think you should know, is sort of tied into the first. We're making you waste time. Longer you take to kill Panacea here, the better off we are. Awfully arrogant of you to leave your team and go off to pick off candidates like Amy. The rest of your team? Crawler, Jack, Mannequin, and Bonesaw? Right this second, they're getting a surprise visit from the rest of our team. What do you think? Siberian flickered and disappeared. Tattletale's jaw dropped. Shit! Trickster cursed. Just get a phone. Warn them. End chapter.
So she can teleport.
Yeah? Well, we got through the whole thing.
That was very jarring.
Fair.
Okay.
I hope the action was okay, though.
It was okay. Filter was great.
The filter?
Can you imagine trying to watch him make bait, but Becky was mumbling in the whole time?
Yeah, I guess that would be a little distracting. Because, like, Deku mumbling is, like, played for laughs, right?
Because he doesn't always do it. When you like stylize it for the anime, like when you direct it, you get rid of all of the mumbling except for like a few things here and there. Like you don't let it distract from the action.
Yeah. Alright, well. Anything else? Okay. I don't have anything, but if you have any, you the viewer, have any questions, feedback, or comments, feel free to leave them, and we will answer them offline. I think we're gonna hop off for now. Have a good night.